Bugatti circuit, Brands Hatch, all the way through to Yas Marino.
It's Sonoma, one race, bumps galore,
YMTV.
YMTV. Oh, there's a clear now. Oh, it's going to make it work.
Orbit once again, now this is going down towards the double right, and who's it going to be?
It's Spin-Roseo.
There's Ross Harmark.
This race
is smoking, has the acceleration. What a race. What a race.
Thursday Night League Racing is back. This time, it's a collection of cars we haven't seen on YMTV before. Tonight, it is round number 1 of the Online Racing Association's GT300. Hello everyone, my name is Andy, aka THR Flip Mode, and I'm joined with Ajax. And Ajax, I'm not sure where to start here. I guess it has to be, what is GT300?
So it's the GT300 from TORA, and it's not the GT300 we're super familiar with. If you're thinking Japanese GT300 Super GT, it's not quite that. It's production cars built up to 300 horsepower. So we got a little bit of different range of cars here. A lot of them are front engine, rear wheel drive. We have some oddballs tossed in there, like some rotaries or some mid-engine cars. So it's a good mix of cars right around the same capability and power, and we'll see some great racing from it.
So the format for tonight, you want to run through what we're about to watch and how tonight's going to go.
Yeah, so we're right about to jump into qualifying now. In qualifying, drivers will have 6 laps, 5 of them being timed, the first one being the flying lap, and that's going to determine it. You got to get your clean lap in quickly. This is a long track, and especially if you get something wrong in like the last sector or the first sector and dirty those laps, it's a long way around to think about making sure that you get that clean lap in. So you got to really, really be prepared and ready to go, and you have to make sure you're setting up the next lap. On this circuit, Indy GP Classic, there's a long straightaway, and if you're not setting it up right the lap before, your next lap is going to suffer. After that, we're going to go into race 1, which is a sprint race of 8 laps, and then we'll be followed up by race 2, which is a 50% inverted field from the results of race 1, 1 mandatory pit stop, and a 20-lap endurance style race. So we get a little bit of everything tonight. We get that sprint showdown, we get that long endurance strategy games, and we get a wide range of cars with some top speed, and it should be a great event tonight.
Wide range of cars, that's one way to describe it. There are cars here ranging basically 2 different generations. We had that turn of the century type car, thinking back to, like, you know, this isn't one of the ones we're driving tonight, but the Volkswagen Beetle, the Chrysler PT Cruiser, and then one of the cars we're racing is the Plymouth Prowler. I don't think I've ever seen, and we will probably never see, a Plymouth Prowler again on YMTV. But boy, I think we got one tonight, don't we?
Yeah, we got one tonight. It's driven by one of the most capable hands in the game. LMR Harmonic has taken up the challenge of trying to get the Prowler to be competitive. He's given us some hints that it might not have the power it needs to contend tonight, but it might be a little bit more competitive at some later tracks. But he has taken that challenge upon himself to try to make this Prowler competitive. Yeah, and it's just one of those odd cars that right around the 2000s, they kind of were bringing back these throwback style cars that paid homage to the original cars, but weren't really. And this one was one of those ones where it had a hot rod influence that was trying to be like those Model T drag race style cars, or even some open wheel style cars, and it was just a kind of unique era for cars with the, like you said, the PT Cruiser, the Beetle being brought back, and there were some other ones in there too. Just an odd kind of car to fit in somewhere else, and we'll probably never see it again in league racing unless this comes back, or unless Ali and Melish do something silly.
Yeah, that's true. They've been known to do that. So we're going to be in qualifying any session or any second now. I actually came unprepared. I didn't have a car. I guess I have to have a car to be in this lobby and spectate. So I'm probably the reason for the delay. So if Ben or someone else wants to relay a message to Big Ben, let him know he can go ahead and start qualifying. We'll jump in there in a minute. I'm just having trouble getting a tune on here, and I'm looking at a spinning wheel. So I'm going to quit Forza once again. But we'll be getting qualification on screen in here in just a moment. But 2 races again, guys. We're going to a quick 8 laps, followed up with a 20-lap feature race. And some of the... Did we touch on the format of how that second race goes? With,
I think I quickly ran over it, but yeah,
okay.
Based on race 1 results from the sprint race, you're going to see the top 50% of the field inverted. So if we see 12 cars in the lobby A, we're going to get 6 inverted. If we have 16, you're getting 8. That mixes it up a bit, and then you have the addition of a mandatory pit stop. The mandatory pit stop can only be taken after lap 2 and before 2 laps left in the race. So before lap 18 in this case. That gives these guys a bit of strategy, and Indianapolis is a good track to kind of separate yourself and find this open space. If you can time your pit right, you can kind of find yourself in a no man's land and really grind out great lap times, and that's where the strategy is going to come in race 2. It is also, it's not a difficult pit entry in terms of actually tight turns or anything, but it's a long sweeping entryway that if you come in a little too hot, you might end up overextending yourself. And we saw on Twitter earlier that unfortunately GTR Martin had a little bit of over exuberance and ended up in the wall at the entrance trying to pit in race 1, so, or race 2 on the EU series.
So yeah, so that won't be too long. I'm just trying to actually still get in here, and it won't be. Here we go. I think I'm finally gonna get this tune on this Honda so I can get in there. But we got quite a good amount of participation today. So we're going to be covering the North American racing. We don't have coverage, unfortunately, for the EU side. We tried to get that together, but just really didn't have the staff or the support. So we'll be covering the North American, basically this time slot for the entire season. It's 6 rounds, I believe, 6 stops in this championship, and we'll be covering each week. You will be headed out of the country, though, at one point during this year, won't you?
Yep. I will be on the other side of the world for 2 of the rounds, the final 2 rounds, but you have a perfectly capable replacement with Pat to take over for me and round out the series. So should be a good series. I'm sad that I'm missing Bathurst. I think these cars at Bathurst are going to be amazing for the finale. But Pat is more than capable to step into my shoes and improve upon it.
So I think we're ready. I'm in.
Are you all set?
I'm just about there. So qualification, it's going to be 1 warm-up lap, then 5 fastest laps. That's where this pressure, this tensity comes from. I've done this. I know you've done this. You've practiced all week. You've built your car. You've hot lapped and you've hot lapped, but it's different. As soon as these cars come on a pit road, you're holding that controller, or if you've got two hands on your wheel, a little different once the qualification starts, and then you're looking and you're like, oh, I missed that turn. I missed that apex. There's a 10th. There's a 10th. And it adds up. The pressure is real. For some of these drivers, that they have goals. They want to get an A lobby, or they need to get a top time. And that starts, and their championship basically starts right now. So the GT300 qualification coming your way. We're going to get that on screen. Get our first look at some of the cars. So there it is, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're racing the Grand Prix circuit. It's the classic layout. You get that map on your bottom left-hand side. You get that right, left, right start of the race. You're going to come around this turn. You can see some of the cars now. That tightening turn on exit. It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah, the first sector here it gets pretty narrow. There is a little bit of an opportunity. Turn 1 is one of your biggest passing opportunities. And then while the track is wide, the racing line tends to be pretty narrow. There's an option, there's some variance in line through 2, 3, 4, that combination of how tight do you take it, but there's not a lot of room for passing, especially since you have to set up for the interior straight on turn 7. So the infield straight is critical, and you really have to mind the bump going onto the infield straight and make sure that you're in line. I do like this layout because they have kind of taken away the possibilities for questionable track limits. Turn 8 with the sweeping interior version rather than the longer, tighter turn tends to be just a bit more friendly for racing. And the same thing going from 12 to 13 on the bank section rather than going and cutting back down off the banking into the infield. That does give us some passing opportunities occasionally when we cut onto the infield, but it's a lot of dive bombing, maybe in the track limits, maybe not in the track limits. So I think taking away those two areas of questionable track limits, I think, is a good step. And we get the super long straight where drafting and top speed are going to be really critical.
So they've done their first lap. The times are obviously going to come way, way down. We've heard the fastest times from earlier on today were in the 130s. So very, very high 130s. Most of the times are probably going to fall in the 131 to 132. This is going to be one of those drivers we should be expecting today to see, and that's going to be LZR Diablo. Let's see if we can get him on screen. See if he's in here. He, I believe, is in an S2000. Get a look at that livery.
Unfortunately,
Looks awfully familiar.
This lap is probably not clean. I saw him slide off the track a little bit in the first sector, so he might be dirty or he's definitely slow. So he's going to be setting up for this next lap for sure. So this will be going on to a hot lap.
Oh boy, Harmonic's in trouble. He said it was slow. Look at that Prowler. He just gets dusted by this field on that straight. So he's going to have trouble at this point of the race, or this point of the track, every lap. He's going to just have to be absolutely super and on point on the infield.
Yeah, it seems the Hondas S2000s and the Subaru BRZ are the class of the field for this track. They just seem to have the better top end. Some of the Mazdas may be able to contend if you have the right build on them, but yeah, the Prowler just didn't quite have the top end speed that it needed to be able to really contend. Harmonic's one of the guys that, if it's going to work, he can make it work, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to really be able to contend, and he currently is in danger of A lobby, B lobby, that cutoff line there, so we got to see how well he does here.
So here's your fastest lap so far. It's a 131.2 from LSEM, Savon 2K. This is a name I don't know. Obviously, I know the LSEM team, but this is a name I'm not familiar with. But so far, a 131.2, that looks to be a very, very fast time. And he's got a gap. He's racing by himself. That's what you like to see. or at least what I like to do, and not be amongst the ghosts in a qualification session. So here we are. He's not going to get any faster here. 130.9, so we are in the 130s. Diablo's going to pip him, though, a 130.8. So he's crossed the line. Diablo's now going to be the fastest at a 130.8. And right behind him is going to be this car, and that's Savon 2000 and a 130.9. And those timers up top, those will be your last laps. So those are your last laps. 130.9. Lawrence is a 130.9. D-Tech's at a 131 low, I think I saw. What I haven't seen is a time from Harmonic, a 132.0. His last lap around.
Yeah, it seems like
he might be fine. He might be fine. A 132.0 is probably fast enough for a lobby today. Well, I don't know.
He's in 10th at the moment.
He's a 10th. Yeah.
We're thinking about 16 in lobby A, I would suspect. So he's going to be close. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to actually look at the other lobby to see who was in there. It seems your teammates aren't in this one, so I'm guessing the THR boys are over there. I think there's a couple more AMRs too that are missing from this one, so I'm guessing they're over there. So there's some quality drivers over there. I just don't know if there's enough to be able to push him down 6 positions to a lower lobby. But
yeah, there definitely are some other names out there. I don't think they're in here. Cradium could be one of them, like you said. Tripasson, he was a vintage iron champion in the EU series. So there are some other guys, Roscoe, DJ Professor, certainly some TORA veterans out there, not in this lobby. So Harmonic, it's got to get quick here. And it looks like he's dropped another spot, currently 11th overall. Someone else has gotten faster than him.
Yeah, Nightlock put in a good lap to sneak into 10th.
I think this lap's going to be dirty from GG. I saw him go off at turn 12. There's another driver here, too. This could have been Boost that went off on that turn, same turn as GG. So I don't know that their laps are going to be clean. But so far, what you're looking at is LZR Diablo, 130.8. And here we are. We're getting some S2000s going to be passing Harmonic here on that straight. Harmonic lines here. And this is going to be the part where it's going to be, I think, probably one of the most important turns on this track right here is now you're going onto that high-speed section, and Harmonic needs to get that section perfect. If he's going to mess up anywhere, he cannot mess up on turn number 11. That's that first right-hander where you're just 100% throttle.
Yeah, and
look at this.
As we're watching, this cars will start to gain on them, but the most heartbreaking section is from the bricks to turn 1, and that's where they really are going to eat them up alive. And that's one of the key passing areas, so it's going to be really difficult for him to defend into turn 1.
So we'll get a look further down the field at some other drivers. This is Apex Fuego and an S2000. Props to the YMTV sticker on that back left bumper. And he's looking ahead to Prod D-Tech. See what else we can find. They're on their final attempts here. Final attempts for their fastest laps. And it's a busy track here at Indianapolis on this here turn number 6. And then there's that right-hander, which is kind of blind. You don't really see your exit. That will dirty your lap if you go over those white lines. So you want to stay clean there. Keep at least 2 wheels on the track. On to Butler, get a look at his car. It's another fast guy and another S2000. Expected to see a lot of these, aren't we? S2000s.
S2000 and BRZ is, I believe, more than 50% of the field tonight. There's a handful of Mazdas mixed in. On the low end, we don't see many of the BMW Z3. We're not seeing, there's one Alpha in the other lobby, and I think there are 2 Fiat Spiders, and then the Solo Predator, or Prowler, excuse me. And there's Pontiac Solstices somewhere. I don't see them in this lobby. There's at least 2 signed up for the series, though. So yeah, a lot of cars in the single digits, and then a lot of BRZs and a lot of S2000s.
So it's going to be Diablo Yeah, coming to the stripe. Qualification's now over. And Diablo is going to be provisional pole. And it's at this point where there was obviously more than one qualification session going on. And right now is a little bit of intermittent while we collect all of those times, sort them, and get everyone assigned to their respective lobbies. We'll be watching likely the fastest 16, depending on how the marshals decide the math to work out, somewhere between 12 and 16 drivers today. I think there was 48 drivers registered for the series, 11 teams. Teams consist of 3 maximum drivers, and teams must be in the same car. They cannot choose different cars. 10 cars to choose from, and unfortunately, we're not going to see any Silvias tonight. And that was one of my favorites. What about you? What are your thoughts on the Silvia?
Yeah, a couple guys drove it in EU. It, for some reason or another, it just didn't contend. I don't think we saw any in Lobby A. I like the Silvia. I was surprised that it didn't get picked a little bit more. I didn't get to go into the builds of it to see actually how the upgrades and everything, where it sorted out from that. But just looking at the base stats on paper, it seemed like it could be a contender. So I was kind of surprised not to see that in the contention. Though the BRZ and the S2000 are strong, very strong choices. So that might have deterred some people from taking maybe just a B tier, maybe I would consider the Silvia. So, versus the A tier of the S2000 and the BRZ.
Okay, so we're going to take a look at some of the times. You know, maybe I can get this on screen, actually. Why don't I do that? So we will do this. So this is not the sorted by fastest time. This is actually sorted by how they crossed the finish line in this race. So do not pay attention to the numbers on the left, yet let's look at the best lap. And from what I can see, it's LZR Diablo with a 130.5. There are 3 drivers, all within the 130s. They are all in the S2000s. So that's AMR Lawrence, LSEM, Savon 2K, and Diablo, of course, on provisional pole. And there are how many 131 times before we get to Harmonic at a 132.0?
So Harmonic was in 11
3, 4,
when you finished.
5, 6. I think he may have finished in 10th, at least maybe in this room.
Okay.
So we're thinking 132. You need to be a low 132 if you have aspirations of being in our top lobby today. 132 is probably going to be the cutoff. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight for sure. Although, seeing a trend here, the S2000 is certainly a quick one.
Yeah.
So why don't we take a look at some of those cars? And I think now's a good time to do so. Get those on screen. So you're going to start to see cars flash across the screen. There are 10 cars to choose from, and what about the variety here? There is a big variety. We kind of touched on it on the intro today, the 17 years, the turn of the generation, the JDM, but it goes deeper than that. I mean, there are rotaries, there are boxers, but all of these are rear-wheel drive, am I right?
Yep, they're all rear-wheel drive, and 9 out of 10 are front engine. So we do have the one oddball of the Alpha 4C being a mid-engine, 4-cylinder turbocharged car that is a little bit unique in that sense. Fits right in with this power-wise and weight-wise. It's a good car, but yeah, the pretty most common combination here is going to be front-engine, rear-wheel drive.
And get a good look at some of the final remaining cars with these cool graphics. There's the Solstice GXP. I didn't think I saw any in our qualification session. The build rules, let's go over this quickly. You have to have these mandatory parts on the left-hand side: race tires, race brakes, and a race cage. You have to have the Forza Aero as well, front and back. Then it gets tricky. The most amount of horsepower your car can have is 300. You cannot go over the PI, or Performance Index, A-Class 620. And your weight must be between 2,500 and 2,700 pounds. So each week, you can change your tune. This is not a spec series. You can change your tune, you can change your build, you can swap parts out, put new parts in. I suspect we may have that happen, especially Indy being a speed track. It's all about getting top speed on those straights. Next week, when we head to Suzuka and other tracks on this calendar, those builds may change. Here is a total list of those cars available. Of course, there's 10 in total. If I'm signing up for the GT300, I think I know I'm going to pick. I'm probably going to go... I like the 4C. I think it's a cool looking car. What about you? Got a favorite?
I have to say the Spider, the Fiat Spider at Barth. I don't know, there's something about the car. It's a fun one to drive. I think it's probably a B tier car. I don't think it quite has... I think if you're going to pick a car like that, I think the S2000 is a better choice, but the Barth just seemed fun to me, so I like that one a lot.
Same, and I mean, and I'm not sure if within the rules that you can change your car mid-season. I know in other Thursday leagues that was an option. Maybe we can check in, or someone knows in the chat if you can actually do that. But for me, Thursday night league racing's fun. The Sundays and the weekends, the British GTs, the bigger series, the weekend racers, the endurance racers, yeah, those are the ones I'm going to buckle down in a hot lap for. And I don't care what the car looks like or the livery. I'm picking the fastest car, but here I'm having fun, and I expect we're going to see that, so you're right. I'm probably going also with one of those different cars. But there was a look at what we're going to see.
Quick look at the rules. You're allowed one car change in the season. It has to be before round 5. So more of the traditional rule set.
Your car.
More of the traditional rule set that we see, that like if somebody really is stuck in a car that they don't feel is competitive, you do have that option to change, but you're limited to that one-time change. So yeah, I would hope we see some more guys jump into, say, the Mazdas or the Alpha, because I think they can be competitive at certain tracks. I hope it doesn't become more of a spec series where we see almost all S2000s in the top lobby.
Yeah, I mean, we could. I don't know if BOP would come into effect, if maybe there's a change made, if they drop maybe the PI a couple points here or there from an S2000, or you know, a BRZ. If we see one car that's particularly dominant in 2 weeks in a row, that could be something we may see. I don't know. It's totally a call up to Flying Mikey J and some of the other creators of the series. But they do have a few things at their disposal which they could do. And I think with other series, they've done exactly that. They've had, if you're going to run this car, I think this was for Trans Am, you would have less PI to work with. So on screen right now, it was your race calendar. Obviously tonight, round 1, the Indy Classic GP. 2 races again, folks, if you're just joining us late. We just wrapped up qualification. First race is going to be 8 laps. It's going to be a quick one, especially with times in the 1 minute 30 seconds. It's going to be a very, very quick race. Then we'll get to our feature. That'll be 20 lap races, or 20 laps around that same track with a pit stop, and there will be a shuffling of the grid. Next week we go to Suzuka, Laguna Seca, Lime Rock, Coda, and then we head, after a few tracks here in the United States, we're going all the way to Australia, and we're finishing this series at Bathurst. So there's your calendar, and we'll be doing every round here on YMTV for the GT300. But let's take a look at the track. Let me see if we can get a track up here. So we were shouting out turn numbers and places to make a move, or what are the most important parts of this track. Now you guys can see that top down. 13 turns in total. Turn number 1, look to the bottom left there. That's that right-hand turn. You're coming down with a lot of speed, heavy on those brakes. and then you get into a 90 to another 92, turn 2, and you're going to go around turns 3. Passing opportunities. If you're looking to make a move, Ajax, where are you starting to think that move can be?
Entry into turn 1 is one of your key passing opportunities, and so is entry into 8. Just long straights where the braking zone, if you're on the brakes, you're the last of the late breakers, you can put a dive into somebody there. And it's a wide area too on both cases. There's wide straightaways. It doesn't get super narrow very quickly. 3, 4, 5, that section, there's some variance in lines depending on the car's level of grip and such. You got to get pretty narrow once you get into 6, but there could be some guys trying over-under moves through 3, 4, 5. And then the setup to 11. 11 is crucial. If you don't get a good run out of 11, you're going to suffer all the way down to turn 1. So we could see guys making pass through the whole straightaway from 11 to 12. 11 to 1. On this map, it's a little bit over dramatized from the 8, 9, 10 sequence. It's a little bit more of a friendly S now rather than the double hairpin. So, but it does get narrow. It's not really a great passing opportunity. It's more of get in line, set up for 11. So we'll see. Hopefully some good passing. I think drafting, at least to some degree, will be important from 12 to 1. So if you have a setup that actually excels in somebody else's wake, you might be able to get a little bit extra oomph and make that opportunity into 1. I think Harmonic is going to have to take advantage of that. If he's close to somebody, he's got to draft and just try to get pulled with them as much as he can.
So I'm going to work on getting the graphic up for qualification because those are in. So stay tuned, guys. I'm going to get that up on screen. If you can just bear with me just for a moment. Let's see here. And how many are we taking in our lobby? It does look like it is going to be 16 in our lobby.
So with 16, that gives us 4 different cars. Pretty much heavily dominated by the S2000. Then we see a handful of BRZs. We see 2 RX-8s and the Prowler. So we did, the dream is still alive. The Prowler is in Lobby A. There is still a chance and a hope, and who knows? There's been weirder things at the Indy GP Classic. If we just remember some F1 moments, there's been some weird things at this track. So you never know until they cross the line.
So you want to start reading off some of the names if you have the live timing there, and I'll get this on the screen.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have left time. Oh, there we go.
No? Okay.
So, yep, I got them in order. So, as we suspected, LZR Diablo takes pole position with his 130.5, closely followed by Savon and Lawrence, who had 130.9s each. And then GG Racing, I think he was about 7th when we last looked at him, but he had crept into 4th place now with a 131.3, only 5/10ths of a second, hundredths of a second ahead of Prod D Tech R. So Prod D Tech R with our first BRZ. So it goes 4 S2000s and then a BRZ. And then we get the pattern repeating. We have 4 S2000s and a BRZ with LSCM Boost, Apex Fuego, Pedantic Squirrel, LSCM Butler, and then Prod Menace. Rounding out the field, we have Nightlock, Cerberus, sorry, that's a new name for me, and the Too Old for Forza 2 team. The DJ Professor K, and the LMR Harmonic, GTR Roadkill, and I believe the lucky man, last man in, is AMR Aftermath. In the spooning AMR spoon themed Honda S2000.
So we're getting 16 drivers. I put a few of the names up there for lobby number 2. Just missing was M Sport, Aqua, Genesis, Chirp Chirp, Lucky, and Red Doc. But they'll have their opportunity next week. The good thing about TORA, and the 48 drivers registered for this series, you can still sign up for the series on racetora.com and race next week. And if you don't think you have the best pace, that's quite all right. You'll be paired in a group with other drivers at your skill level. And in fact, there are 3 different lobbies going on tonight. So we'll obviously watch the top lobby, that being lobby 1, and those names you see with the number 1 in the far right-hand column. But there's a lobby 2, and there's even a lobby 3. So don't feel that you don't belong or you're not fast enough. You've got racecraft, and you're not a rammer. You're welcome at racetora.com. Hope to see you next week if you're not racing.
Oddly enough, I am lobby host somehow. I'm not sure how that happened. So I might need to figure out something here. or we're still waiting on an invite, possibly.
I stayed in here, so there is a drop round, yes.
There is a drop round in this series. If you do want to join, you won't be penalized. You'll just have a 0 for round 1, which gets dropped. Not the end of the world. They have overall standings, they have independent standings, they have team standings, and then they also have a hard charger award that they give for guys that improve their position in race from qualifying to race 1 to race 2. The guy that passes the most cars at the end of the race is the winner of the hard charger award.
For teams, there is no drop round. So if you have a team championship in mind, well, you better show up each week. The reason why there's no drop round for teams, 3 drivers consist of a team, as many as 3, as few as 2, but it's only your fastest 2 drivers' points will contribute to your team's standings. So no drop rounds for teams. We'll look to keep everyone updated throughout the championship as to how those standings are, where each driver is. We'll even take a peek into the EU series, the series we're not covering, unfortunately, but we'll keep you guys updated because there are some awfully quick drivers. I do want to give a quick shout out to SFM Drift and Hero. He's a guy we've seen here in this time slot before. I remember him in Trans Am. Not sure he raced for the Hot Hatch Challenge we had this time last year, but a very, very quick driver. He got the double win here today. So I believe he was in the S2000. Shame we won't see him out here tonight. I guess a little late for him, he said, but he got the double win. So good job there from the Swordfish Motorsports driver, and I think he's new to SFM too. So. But we're gonna get a full lobby of S2000s, aren't we? My goodness.
About 12 of the 16 are S2000s, maybe a little less, maybe 10. But yeah, it's a lot of S2000s. It's a track that lends itself well to the S2000,
speed,
especially with the top speed at 300.
Yeah.
With 300 horsepower, so it's good. Yeah, Drifting Hero. It's 2:30 a.m. Thank you for hanging out with us though, and watching the NA series.
He's probably he's watching on his cell phone. The volume's barely audible. Try not to wake up the girlfriend. I've been there, bro. I know what you're doing. 2:30. Thanks for tuning in. And if you guys are new to YMTV, again, you're just checking in, my name's Andy, aka THR Flip Mode. This is Ajax in the color commentary booth with me. You are just about ready to watch 2 races here on YMTV. Go ahead and give us a follow if you don't follow us already. We would appreciate your support. We've just eclipsed 3,000 subscribers on Twitch, which is pretty neat. I think we're just about 3,006, 3,007, something like that. We're also on Twitter at YMTV Racing. We have an Instagram as well as a Discord. But I would suggest just go to at YMTV Racing because I don't know where else to find us. I'm sure we're everywhere. But I know the Twitter, so just hit us up there. But yep, we're in the lobby now. So again, what we're going to be doing here is getting everyone in order. There will be a warm-up lap. They will coast around the track at a safe speed and a safe distance between each other. When that driver crosses the stripe, the brickyard now, that's when they will hit that pedal to the floor. So it'll be a difficult pass to try and get past someone on the straight here. Maybe Harmonic's got to get defensive. What do you think?
His car just lacks the top end, and I didn't see it have great acceleration. I think his strongest suit is going to be through the more grip-oriented sections, through 3, 4, 5, and then at the later S's. I think he can hold his ground, if not create a gap through there, but he just seems so underpowered through from the bricks to turn 1 that I think he's going to be a sitting duck a lot of the times, unfortunately. I think the guys in the BRZ have a better opportunity. I haven't seen quite the balance of acceleration to top speed, but the BRZ might have a little bit on the S2000 where it might be able to contend and get ahead early with that short acceleration zone, and then try to hold off the charging S2000s.
Now, when I think Harmonic, that guy's a gunfighter, okay? But he's in the Prowler. So who else is some of those gunfighters? Now, I would typically look for names, but I think we should be looking at cars. So who are some of those drivers that are in that S2000, other than Diablo, obviously on pole, that you think have a pretty good chance of shaking this race up?
Really impressed with GG Racing qualifying in 4th. It's hard to call him a sleeper anymore in the S2000. Diablo is obviously strong. He's been here forever. It's not like something like this is going to make him nervous. He's been through it all. He's ice cold in the veins, man. It's not going to bother him at all that he's got 16 guys behind him. Somebody like LSEM Butler, I think, might have been able to show a little bit. Yeah, and then we got a couple of the RX-8s. We didn't see them in qualifying, but we have them in the... They're a little bit further back, but we haven't seen the rotary yet. We don't really know what the rotary is capable of, so we'll see how that goes for them, too, with Roadkill and right? DJ and Professor. Yeah.
So Roadkill, a new member to the GTR team. I think that's happened sometime between the Trans Am series where we were last here on Thursday nights. If you wanted to watch some of our old racing, YMTV, YouTube.com/YMTV Racing, you can see some of these names in the Trans Am series. But between that Trans Am series and today, Roadkill signed on with a big team, and that's GTR. DJ Professor, this guy's a TORA veteran. I've raced with him before. So I'd like to see those two guys in the RX-8 mix it up. There's a guy in front of DJ I'm not familiar with, Severius. But anyone who can get an A-lobby time is got to be someone to look out for. So even though we may not know everyone in here today, let's recognize all the names. Apex Fuego from the MRT team. This is a new team, MRT. I've been splashing a lot on Twitter, picking up some drivers, so good to see some new teams coming out.
Yeah, we got Prod guys. I'm not... the names are familiar, but I haven't seen them race too much. And they're bringing in strong representation for the BRZ. So we got, I think, did all 3 of them end up? I only see 2 right now. Did all 3 of them actually end up in Lobby A? It looks like only 2 of the 3 did. So 2 of 3, not bad. Red Doc might still be joining us. That might be the guy that I'm missing. But Prod has a reputation for being racy and being feisty. You can't ever count out that team. So, especially in something like this, I think they could be contenders, especially if maybe it takes them a week or 2 to figure out kind of the car build and the tune, and then all of a sudden they start really contending for a win. Especially at a track that might be a little less top speed oriented. I think the BRZ is going to be very strong.
Yeah, they don't mind playing a little backseat bingo, those guys abroad. Puerto Rican online drivers, so some to look out for. And some of the moves that they may make that may give us some entertainment here tonight. So, moments away, I think, though, TORA's had a new announcement this week, and that was with the British GT. This is a premier event that we actually had the luxury of covering a number of races last year on the calendar. and we think we did like the first 3 or 4 rounds on YMTV, and when we hope to get them back here on our channel, I think that's yet to be determined. I sure hope it is, but that's starting real soon. April 14th, they're headed to Watkins Glen. GT3 and GT4 cars will be there. It is, in my mind, probably some of the best racing on Forza Motorsport, some of the best league racing. I just think with the multi-class, the real support from the British GT, and the amount of support from the community, over 150 drivers typically are going to be registered for this event. Tonight we got 3 lobbies. How about 7 lobbies last year at VIR for the opening round? Not kidding, folks. We had that many drivers registered for that event last year. So it is a massive, massive event. That starts next month. They're going to Watkins Glen, and following up the following Sunday at Barcelona. They're going to, I guess that would be Catalunya. So it's kicking off, and it's kicking off real soon. I think they just announced the cars. Is that right?
Yep, so we got a list of cars. We don't have quite the full builds yet, but we know which cars you will be able to pick from. We got a couple new entries this year, seeing as some of the American muscle cars made their way over to England now. With the Camaro and the Mustang being added to the GT4 list, which is a great addition in my opinion, because I love both the GT4 versions of those cars.
Mesosphere's calling me out on centering this picture. Well, this picture's not exactly the right format, so fine. Let's see if we can fix this. Isn't that better? It's stretched though. It doesn't look right, but whatever. There you go. I left it as I figured that'd be good enough.
It's an Aston Martin. It's a pretty wide car. We could just make it wider by stretching.
So I can't wait for British GT.
So we get some great support from the British GT themselves, the series showcase runners, and then also the teams. We get a lot of support from the teams.
Yes.
Couple guys will run replica liveries matched up. I know the guys from Beach Dean had a couple car replicas in the series last year with EVR. No longer EVR, so let's see who takes up that mantle. The car you have pictured on screen, I know a couple guys run that car exactly. So it's a fun series. It's a good series because it gives you a mix up too. It's not always the same distance or time. Some races are double features, some races are single features. You get the strategy of multiple pit stops. It's a really good series, especially with the multi-class racing and having multi-class racing in hoppers or in the lobby. So you're going to always have somebody to contend against at your ability while also having to deal with whatever traffic is coming through. I had a lot of fun racing it last year. I'm not sure if I'll race it this year. I'll be commentating, but either way, I'm definitely going to be involved in it in some way. Well,
That's April 14th, but tonight it's the GT300, round number 1. And we're moments away from race number 1. It'll be 8 laps. 8 laps tonight for race number 1, and then our feature will be 20 laps. LZR Diablo will be starting this race on pole. LSEM, Savon 2000, AMR Lawrence, AMS GG Racing will all be in S2000s. We'll get our first non-S2000. That'll be a BRZ. Behind the wheel of that BRZ, Prod DTEC R. Then it's LSEM Boost, Apex Fuego, Pedantic Squirrel, The Butler, in 4 more S2000s. And then rounding out your top 10, Prod Menace. He'll be in the BRZ. Look out for LMR Harmonic in 14th today. He's in the Plymouth Prowler. He'll be sandwiched between a Mazda RX-8, driven by DJ Professor, and another Mazda in GTR Roadkill. So waiting for a few more check marks. Guys putting their final tunes on, double checking settings, making sure their batteries are fully charged, controllers are plugged in, and probably going over race regs is our host, which is probably Diablo.
So we're saying a lot about the S2000 and there's being a lot of cars, but you look at the top 4 guys in qualifying, and they all have different tunes. Diablo, you have a 620 PI. You have Savon at a 617, so he's given up 3 PI, but he's still got second place. Lawrence is at a 618, and then GG Racing is at a 620. So we have a variance in the builds that they're all using and in the tunes, which is unique to see in this, because a lot of times when you're given that target of 620, you tinker around and swap out things, whether it be the wheels or something like that, to try to get it to match that 620 almost perfectly so that you don't lose anything in terms of giving up PI. But a couple of these guys like Savon are like, I got 617, it's close enough, and I'm going to put it in second place. So,
yeah, you know what? Let me get that on screen so these guys kind of see this. Look at the speed number, because I think that's the real telling number. Here's 5.9. See that top number there, 5.9 for speed? That's Diablo. Go down to Harmonic, 5.4. 5.4. And you saw that during qualification, how he just got pulled. The other cars just pulled away from him. A big, big difference there in top speed. Look at the BRZ, 6.2 there from Zavarius. Prodetec, 6.2. So if they make that slight mistake on turns 11, 12, and onto the banking of turn 13, they can make up for it. Those cars are awfully fast, reaching top speeds well over 150 miles an hour, where Harmonic doesn't have that luxury. He's got to be perfect on those final turns, hit his apex, because otherwise he's going to have even more difficulty. So look at that speed. I thought that was pretty telling when you were starting to read off numbers here. You can see the different builds that these guys have brought to the track.
Yeah, and the RX-8, that's the final of the 4 different types of cars in this lobby. The RX-8's somewhere in the middle. It's a heavier car. It has a 6.0 for speed and a 7.7 for acceleration, but it might just be a little bit harder to get up to that speed and a little bit more tricky with the handling. It's a bigger car when compared to the S2000 and the BRZ, so that might be just what's literally weighing that car down just a bit.
No Alphas.
Has a beautiful livery on it.
Yeah, we'll get a look at those liveries soon. Get a look in the track. There should be a clear day here at Indianapolis. But I was about to say some of the cars we won't see tonight. Obviously, we know we're going to see a lot of S2000s and BRZs, but we won't see the car on the screen there, the Alpha 4C. But we won't see the Silvia. We won't see... No, I'm missing some the Mazdas, right? We won't see the Miata.
And the BMW is the
BMW,
other one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, there was actually...
Solstice. I was hoping to see a Solstice in here. I thought,
yeah, that's true.
We had potential of seeing one in here.
Now, of the 48 drivers registered for this series, 9 different cars were picked. So there is a variety out there, even though the telling story clearly is the S2000 here in round number 1. While the S2000 clearly is a quick car today, next week it changes. Remember, folks, we're going to Suzuka. Not nearly the same straights and the same speeds will be reached there as they will here. And that's actually the short version. It's not that full Suzuka track where we feature 130R and some of the other more memorable turns that Suzuka offers, such as Spoon. It's a different layout. So it's going to be a tighter track, tighter racing, probably a little more suited to some of the cars with acceleration and grip. So expect the builds to change. S2000 clearly strong today, but is it strong next week? We'll certainly find out.
Yeah, and it's going to be a hard one next week because there's not many passing opportunities on a short track like Suzuka East. You have an opportunity into turn 1 and how it opens and kind of has it's kind of like a multi-apex turn with turn 1, 2. And that has potential to create different lines and you might see some passing there, but there's not really a super strong opportunity for passing on that circuit. So you got to be point on, not make mistakes, not allow those other guys opportunities to get inside of you on a braking point or something like that. It's a tricky one. So I'm gonna say a lot of these guys are gonna drastically change their builds and their tunes just to accommodate how much grip you need through that back section of Suzuka East.
So I'm hearing delays in the Twitch chat that they're having some struggles with the party. That's the reason for the delay. It hopefully is not too much longer, but just I guess there's trouble with communications and comms between drivers. Otherwise, we're ready here at YMTV. I appreciate you guys tuning in and sticking around. Race should be kicking off very, very soon. Yeah, it's not a bad idea, huh? Skipping over to B lobby. Bulk. Pretty cool if we could do that. But of course, as soon as we jump into B lobby, I bet A lobby would kick off. You know how that works. But Indy, I mean, draft? Are we gonna see much of a draft? 150 miles an hour, that's right about the cusp where the cars start to do something in this game. It's very difficult with draft in this game, but probably not, right?
Maybe a little bit with some of the cars. I'm not sure that, like, the section from maybe the bricks to the braking point. It's gonna be a lot of late braking though. It's who can make the turn and brake the latest and not lock up. So it's gonna be that balance, and you can do some defending, but turn one is, there's a lot of straightaway room. There's a lot of opportunities to get side by side with somebody. It's not a narrow section that you can easily defend. The same thing with 8. There's a lot of wide opportunities to try to, like, maybe undercut or try to get a slightly altered line where if some guy does go a little bit deep on defending, you can get underneath them and set yourself up better for the S's. It's kind of a mind game, and especially if you're that close in pace with somebody. I think a lot of it's going to come down to just pure horsepower and who can get out of 11 the best. And then we got the strategy game in race 2. It's really about, if you're in traffic, do I pit now and get into open traffic or open air and try to set these lap times so I can undercut or get away from these guys without having to really pass them? Or do you try to use that draft to your benefit and follow each other and try to create a gap by drafting? I don't think there's enough to create that drafting gap, but I do think there's potential for utilizing your pit strategy to get yourself into open space and get hot lap times in.
And pit exit here. A little bit of a tricky one. Actually, pit entrance as well, because you're coming in so fast. Talk about pit road here today, Indianapolis.
It's long. That's the number one thing. It's a long oval course. It's gonna feel like a century from one end to the other. And the entrance starts between 12 and 13. So you're off the track on the inside of the track for around the last turn of 13. And it's a long way until you actually hit that invisible wall where the AI takes over and drives you into your pit. So we've seen it in the EU series. Unfortunately, some guys just got a little too overexcited on that pit entry and headed out and clipped the pit wall because they just had a little too much speed and the grip just wasn't there. And then you just gotta clear your head. If you got something to wipe your hands, if your hands are sweating, or shake out a little bit, and then wait some more. It's a long pit lane. And then you come right out and you're thrown right into the braking section of 1. And if you're close with anybody when you're coming out, they're going to be closing at an incredible speed versus what you're coming out of the pit at. You're coming out at 60, they're coming down at 130. They're almost double your speed. So it's going to be interesting to say that when they get into race 2 for these pit.
Heaven forbid you come out of the pit and you get smashed from behind. So check your mirrors. Traffic is approaching. Cars may be closer than they appear. So check your mirrors coming out of those pits. We're just about ready here in Indianapolis for round number 1 of the GT300, courtesy of our friends at the Online Racing Association. racetora.com or their new URL, racetora.com. If you're just joining us, my name Andy, aka THR. Flip mode on color today is going to be Ajax. He'll be readying up for this race. We are ready to go here at Indianapolis, race number 1. Again, folks, will be 8 laps. 8 laps in total. This is going to be a real quick race, but we'll have a second race, and that'll be our feature. But race number 1, here we go. It's going to be a warm-up lap now. A warm-up lap, so they will not be going the 3-2-1 Forza go. We will be warming up, getting in a grid, and it will be a rolling start. They will be side by side, 2 by 2, heading down turn number 13, and as they cross the stripe, that's when they will hit the gas. So, LZR Diablo will be on pole. He's got it made in the shade today in the S2000, and looking pretty quick. He put up a 130. What did he put up? 130.5, and he had a pretty good gap to LSEM Savon 2K in a 130.9. So he's got a comfortable pace, at least on the qualification session. But race pace, we will certainly find out.
Yeah, and it took him a couple laps to get there. We saw him come out. He put in the hot lap on lap 1. Lap 2, slid off the track a bit, just pushed the limits just a little too much. I think he got onto the curb between 3 and 4, and just slid off a bit. And yeah, and that was 1 lap hot lapping. Now you got to put 8 together, so a mistake like that, and you're losing position. So he might have been the fastest for 1 lap, but is he the fastest for 8 total laps? So that's where it comes in. And we have those 3 guys are on a slightly different balance of tunes. I don't know if anybody went to the extreme of having a qualifying tune versus a race tune, but where is Savon's car and Lawrence's car different from Diablo's? What parts did they pick that Diablo decided not to, or vice versa? And how does that play out when they're actually into the race?
Well, from the stats we know, speed, handling, acceleration, and braking. From a numerical standpoint, Savon and Diablo's cars are identical. Speed, 5.9. Handling, 6.0. Acceleration, 7.6. Clearly S2000. Strength, of course, speed as well. And braking, 6.0. So it looks on the surface, they have a very, very similar build. I think the thing with the S2000 was you could take it right up to the limit of the weight, 2,500 pounds, just getting it just above. In horsepower, you could get it right up to that limit of, gee, I'm blanking now, is it 300?
Yep.
No. 300?
Yep. 300.
Okay. So I think it was an easy, not an easy, but you knew what direction to take the car as you were building it. And that's probably why a few people also chose it, because you could go right up to both of those limits. So, LZR Diablo, LSEM, Savon 2K, AMR Lawrence, AMS GG Racing, and Prod DTEC R are your top 5. Again, folks, it is going to be a warm-up lap. 8 laps in total for this first race. And cars
holding our breath
on track.
Holding our breath a little.
Cars are on track here. It was a long loading screen. Hopefully we got it right the first time here. Thank you guys for tuning in to YMTV. We got a late start, but we're going to have a fun night of racing. There he is. You get a look at that Suki Fast and Furious livery from LZR Diablo, painted by Mesosphere and Ice Rabbit Design, maybe, I believe. but a beautiful looking pink S2000. And he is your driver on pole. Behind him, we'll get a look at Savon's livery. There it is, the white and blue, number 2K, appropriately numbered. 2000 on his number board. In third, it's going to be A.M.R. Lawrence in a similar looking livery, white and purple.
This one is AMR Hulk's, I think it's a Spoon-inspired Dragon on here. The Spoon Racing team, famous for their blue and yellow Hondas. I think he's got some of the shared branding on there with in a unique design from AMR the Hulk.
There's a quick look at Gigi in another 2000. Then it's LSEM Boost in fifth. We're going to start this race from sixth position in our first BRZ. That's Prod D-Tech.
I think they're going to swap back around. I think Prod was up in fifth. Yeah, so they'll swap here.
So LZR Diablo should be on the inside here.
He
Savon's
wants
got to get on the outside. And I think he
argue the
realizes.
issue with
Yeah. So 2 by 2, it's going to be Diablo on pole. LSEM, Savon on his outside. Gigi and Lawrence. Gigi's on the inside. This is D-Tech in the BRZ on the inside. The GT300 series about to cross the brickyard. That strike, there it is. The GT300 series has begun. Looks like a slow start there from Boost. Here comes D-Tech right up against GG. Into turn number 1, are we clean? We are. A little bit of a cut there. Looks like maybe from our leader. I don't know that any advantage was really gained. I don't see any disasters from behind. So we are clean here through turn number 1. Diablo, Savon, Lawrence, very closely followed by Gigi. Gigi's going to touch Lawrence there. And here we come through turn number 6. It's another tight turn. D-Tech's going to lock up that left rear tire. And here, talk about this turn number 7. How important is turn number 7?
Critical, because you got this long infield straight and a big passing opportunity into 8. And if you get too close to the guy in front of you and he gets a bad exit, or if you just don't get the power down at the right time, it's going to set you up for a passing opportunity. As you can see them stack up side by side.
Here we go. This is on board with Servius, and he's absolutely getting swallowed up. It's Harmonic with a pass here. Nightlock gets around him on turn number 8. Now, I'm going to expect this move to get made back as Harmonic is in that Prowler. We know that Prowler does not have the top speed. What does the BRZ got? Well, it's the fastest car of this field. And there's going to be a touch. BRZ on a Nightlock. Nightlock's going to hit the wall. Nightlock's race, he's going to have a tough one, but that was he got squeezed there. He got squeezed by Severius.
I don't think Severius realized that the Nightlock still had the overlap, and I think he just drifted out a little bit too much, and unfortunately, Nightlock just didn't have anywhere to go. He had the tire walls on the outside. It just hadn't opened up enough yet to go on the outside through there. Oh, we got another touch. This is one of the prod cars comes together with GG Racing, and GG Racing goes into the sand trap at turn 2.
Yeah, Gigi's going to fall down this order. You can see him there on the right-hand screen. He's going to fall down to 12th. He's going to come down to 13th. He is. So on the inside of this DJ Professor Mazda RX-8 is GG. He's now on the inside. Can he get this race back together? Started this race in 4th. Now in 12th on lap number 2. So GG, a tough break there. Didn't see that on camera, but here he is just in front of DJ Professor in this pack here. And this is the pack, well, it looks like 8th, maybe Harmonic, all the way down to DJ here in 13th. I'm going to hop up a few cars. I want to go to GG, maybe just one spot and see what see if he's got anything for Prod Menace in front of him. Roadkill there in 10th in the RX-8. And then we're going to see Harmonic here as we get onto the banking in the high-speed section of this track. You can see it there on the map in the bottom left-hand side. Again, this is AMS. GG Racing started this race in 4th. And a disaster on this previous lap. Look, Harmonic just goes way down to the inside of this banking.
He's trying to do his best, but he just knows it's a losing battle. And even if you're on GG Racing still, it's GG Racing might have an opportunity into turn 1 on Harmonic, and that's how far Harmonic loses pace on this straight. But he makes a great move and gains those 2 positions back.
Where did he come from? Harmonic with a quick move there. Wow, in turn number 2, and now coming through turn number 3, he lost these 2 spots to Menace in the very, very quick BRZ. This is Roadkill, and he got those spots back, and almost like he's gone. So Harmonic knows how to drive this infield section. Whoa, Roadkill with a sim twitch. Roadkill almost loses that RX-8. He's going to lose a spot, though, to DJ. So he's got some work to do fighting here for 10th, 11th, and 12th. GG needs to get back up this field. It's DJ now with a little bit of a twitch. Our leader, though, because this race is going to go by quick. Maybe we should get the map back on screen and see where our leaders are. We'll come back down to this battle here, because this is the fun part of this race. This particular order, we'll go up to 3rd. In 3rd is AMR Lawrence. So it's unchanged up at the front, with the exception of Gigi, Diablo, Savon, and Lawrence. And let's give you about a 9-iron, 7-iron from 3rd to 2nd there. Lawrence to Savon. And starting lap number 5.
Yeah, that last lap, the move by Harmonic, he saw an opening that was legitimately there. Prod and Roadkill were focused on each other, went a bit deep, and they left the inside lane open. He didn't cut. I was on board with GG Racing at the time, and GG Racing followed him right through. Great move from GG Racing into turn 1 on Prod Menace. Prod Menace just doesn't seem to have the confidence on the brakes into turn 1, and he keeps going a bit deep and leaving the inside line open, and GG and Harmonic have been able to take advantage of that the last 2 laps now.
So I've gone down to LSEM, the Butler, currently sitting in 7th place. We saw D-Tech go deep in turn number 1, and Butler's closed that gap. He's now right on the back of D-Tech, and it is going to be S2000 versus BRZ here in lap number 5. The BRZ is going to be quick here on the straights. Butler going to try and tuck to the draft so he can get any extra MPH and squeeze every pony out of that S2000 as he possibly can. But it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get in front because now D-Tech's got the faster car here as we're approaching that bank section. To watch this, I'm going to get into a game cam here, and let's take a look at D-Tech's BRZ.
Yeah, I would say on board with this battle. The prod guys at the BRZ have just not seemed completely comfortable in the long braking sections. I don't know if it's something with the aero that they did. Obviously, everybody's on race brakes, but it seems like the S2000 just is better on the brakes into these very fast braking sections. As they pull away, we'll see how much the LSEM driver will be able to close up here. And a lockup from
you are
D-Tech.
right. A huge lockup from D-Tech there. He's going to go deep, real deep, and into the grass. He's going to lose that spot. Almost touches Severius. And he's going to lose out on 3 spots. D-Tech goes way deep. Huge mistake. Drops down from 6th. 6th all the way to 10th, I believe. I saw him go down. So we'll find some more action here. Let's go to... Where should we go? Should we go to GG again? Yeah, maybe we go back to GG because he's looking ahead to D-Tech. Harmonic doing a good job. Started this race in 14th place, folks. Started this race in 14th. D-Tech again losing that car. Remember, though, we got 16 drivers in here at Ajax. What happens for race number 2?
8 get inverted, so 8 is the key number for this.
8. And where's Harmonic?
8.
8.
That puts him on.
So
pole
I'm not
for
saying
race
it's
2.
on
It's
purpose,
a long race.
but maybe he's starting to think about something here. I don't know. Something to think about. Harmonic making moves, though.
Yeah, odd things happen at the Indy GP. 6 car for F1 races and such. So, odder things have happened. A Prowler winning a race might be the oddest one, though.
What a way to kick off the GT300 series. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves because here comes D-Tech and here comes GG. They're coming down to start lap number 7. And D-Tech's certainly going to get Harmonic. Is GG going to get him? And it certainly looks like it. Under brakes. On the inside is GG. And
on the outside, Prod
try.
Menace locked up again. The Prod guys just really are not comfortable into turn 1 on the brakes and having multiple lockups.
Harmonic is going to get alongside D-Tech now. D-Tech's going to be on the inside for the next upcoming turn number 5 and turn number 6, particularly turn number 6 here. But Harmonic's, we know he's got good grip. But he needs to be in front of D-Tech now and on the inside, and he's going to get it done. But watch D-Tech now. Watch D-Tech and that BRZ. Going to stretch that turn a little bit too much for my liking. And move here. Turn number 8. No. He brakes early, and Gigi was not ready for that.
Yeah, the prod guys are just not on the brakes for these two long braking sections, and Harmonic took advantage of it. Diving to the inside on 7, making sure that he had the position to be able to back those guys up so they couldn't make advantage of that, the horsepower advantage they had. And now it's going to be a battle between GG Racing and D-Tech. And Harmonic's the sit and duck here again, but he just keeps being able to get better braking into turn 1 and turn 8.
So Harmonic fighting a losing battle in that Prowler today. Was in 8th 2 laps ago, now in 10th. Has he got something here for these 2000s and BRZs of GG and D-Tech? He's certainly going to give it everything he's got. And that 8th spot is key, folks. Remember, that 8th spot will be on pole for race number 2. We're doing somewhat of a reverse grid for half the field.
And while we follow along with this battle for that 8th place invert position for pole for next race, the top 5 has remained unchanged. So we're not missing anything in the front. They're all kind of evenly spaced. Unfortunately, no significant battles going on up the front. So this is the key battle of the race so far.
GG almost makes a dive there. And you're right, the BRZ under brakes just is not as strong as this S2000. I do expect GG to make a move here in D-Tech, and it's probably going to come, well, maybe not turn number 1, but look for D-Tech, who struggled at turn number 1. Are we going to have a disaster here on his final lap? Is GG going to get that 8th spot, or is it going to be D-Tech? Or Harmonic, currently sitting in 10th. Look out for Roadkill. He's in a RX-8, currently in 11th. Our leaders, we'll stay on this one through turn number 1, just in case GG decides to do something here in this first sector. Look how much stronger he is on brakes. And GG's going to go in the grass there. Turn number 3, now coming through turn number 4. This is our battle for 8th. We're going to go to our leaders. I'll go to LZR Diablo. Here is that S2000. We'll take a look back, and there's not a car there for a while. This is our leader. He started this race on pole with a 130.5, and it looks to be like he's going to win race number 1 here at Indianapolis, the Classic GP. This is just the sprint race, folks. We got one more race to go. This is LZR Diablo. Coming around the final turn and onto the banking now. And it's certainly just going to be throttle all the way to the finish. LZR Diablo is going to take the win here in round number 1. In second, it's going to be LSE on Savon 2K. And AMR Lawrence. There's Diablo crossing the line for the win. I'll go to Lawrence quickly. Any threat there to Savon? No.
Jump to GG Racing and prod D-Tech, because there's going to be a drag race to that's pole position for next race.
Here we go to the line. It's going to be the BRZ, just going to edge out with that top speed. And it's going to be D-Tech who's going to be on pole here for race number 2. Good shout out there, Ajax. We just got it on camera. The BRZ holds off AMSGG Racing. What a race there for race number 1. It was that middle of the field. We really saw the flavor of what GT300 has offered us. We got a little bit of a tease here with the speed of the BRZ, the brakes and the cornering of the S2000, and really the top speed as well. I'll throw that in there. And then the Prowler, I think that was just because of the hands of who's driving it, and that's Harmonic. But LZR Diablo takes the win here in the S2000. We get an S2000 1 through 3.
I think it was 1 through 5,
that, right?
maybe 1 through 6.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. So it was a S2000 1 through 6. So our order, if you want to go through our race finish for us.
Yeah, so we had LZR Diablo with a very, very confident win. Savon maintains his second place position. Lawrence as well. And then a little bit of a shake-up to the second part of this pack. LSCM Boost into 4th place. Pedantic Squirrel up into 5th. LSCM The Butler in 6th. So we got 3 LSCM drivers making up the top 6. Then our first BRZ with us. Sarveris. I don't know that guy. I'm sorry I'm murdering his name. But that's our first BRZ, so great to see that. Prod D-Tech and the GG Racing battle was there. Both of them had, I think, coming together on, I think it was lap 2 maybe. But good recoveries for them to end up mid-pack. Roadkill with our first RX-8 in 10th. Prod Menace with the BRZ. I was hoping he would have a little bit better, but seemed to really struggle on the brakes and had a couple of lockups that pushed him back down the pack. Harmonic, he was up in 8th at one point. I think he was even at 7th at another, but drops to 12 at the end of the race. AMR Aftermath in 13th. DJ Professor K72 and the Mazda RX-8 in 14th. And rounding out the field in 15th was Nightlock. Seems we've lost somebody at some point during the race, but I'm not sure who we lost. We did start with 16. Oh, Flago might have gotten dropped. I think Flago was having some connection issues or wasn't readying up, and I think he might have gotten dropped.
Gotcha. Fuego qualified in 7th, so from the MRT team. Thinking about guys who early on in this race, Severius squeezes Nightlock on the banking. He hits the tire wall. Nightlock spins. It was Nightlock, right? Or was it Roadkill? I think it was Nightlock.
Nightlock and I believe it was Severius. Severius
Yes.
Just didn't see him on the outside or didn't think he was there. Just kind of pinched him up into a tire wall. Good for Nightlock for finishing out. You're going to get the points for being in Lobby A. It's smart to finish it out instead of kind of calling it. And now you got another opportunity. You have an opportunity, even though you are at the back of the pack. You got 20 laps. Use the strategy and make your way back up the pack and be a contender this race. So good for him for hanging in there, even though he was almost a full lap behind everybody. But he did finish the race out and get the points that he did, deserved for being in Lobby A.
Some of the guys who've made some moves in this race. I'm trying to look out to see where people started versus where they finished. Maybe a guy like LSEM, the Butler, started his race in 9th and he finishes in 6th. Severius, another guy, started the race in 12th. He ended up in 7th. So those are guys moving up this order. It was a good performance from Severius. Of course, we'll leave it up to the marshals to decide what happened there on lap number 2 with the incident between Severius and Nightlock. But Severius finishes that race in 7th. Let's see, who else might have moved? Roadkill, right? Roadkill started this race in 15th. And he gets a top 10, the RX.
Yeah, he did a good job of avoiding significant issues. I think he had maybe 1 or 2 little incidents, but nothing major, and took advantage of some other people's disadvantage or misfortunes. The RX-8 can contend on the straights. I think it's a little bit slippery through the turn sections. And I think that was where, at least I saw DJ Professor losing the back end a few times, just getting a little bit of a drift happening through some of the infield sections. But if you get it planted enough, it does have the ability to kind of contend at the top speed sections.
So we will have one more race, and this one's the big one, folks. 20 laps. There will be a pit stop. We will have a reverse grid, so the top 8. And that will mean who's going to be starting our race, and how's that race order going to go. So
we'll invert the top 8, so that'll mean our drag race winner from race 1, Prod D-Tech R, will be on pole, followed. So we have a BRZ lockout on the pole for this race with Severius in second place. Butler will go to third. Pedantic Squirrel will be fourth. LSCM Butler will start in fifth. Lawrence will start in sixth. Seventh will be Savon, and our race 1 winner, Diablo, will go to eighth. He'll be followed by GG Racing, GTR Roadkill, Prod Menace, LMR Harmonic, and then I gotta scroll down. AMR Aftermath, DJ Professor, and Nightblock.
Hey Jax, if you want to spectate up, looks like we're just waiting on one more driver. I like to have a YMTV tradition, and that's shame the last driver who's ready up. That's AMR Lawrence. So blame Lawrence, hashtag blame Lawrence, for the reason for the race 2 delay here. He's now checked up. Race number 2, ready to go.
And we do have Apex Fuego back, so I'm not sure if he'll end up at the back of the pack. I'm assuming he will, but it's good to see
that would make sense.
We're back up to. I think he might have traded somebody though. I'm not seeing. Who am I missing? We're at 17 with you and I in here. We should be at 18. We're missing one of the LSEM drivers. We have Butler,
we're missing...
we have Savon. Who was the third LSEM driver?
Alright, LSEM Boost.
Yep, I believe it was Boost, who finished in 6th last race, right?
Qualified in 6th, and he finished... I don't think he did finish. No, he did. He finished 4th. So we're waiting on LSEM, the Boost. I wonder if this is the same Boost as Boost Syndicate. There was a driver last year in the TORA Hot Hatch Challenge, and I wonder if it's the same driver. So maybe not blame AMR Lawrence, maybe we can blame LSEM Boost. So we got a BRZ lockout on the top. That'll be in the top row. That's pretty interesting. And turn number 1, of course, always a place for action, but we got 2 cars not with the best brakes.
Yeah, the Severius seemed like he was a little bit more comfortable than, say, the Prod guys. And he'll be on the outside, so he can maybe look for an opportunity. The S2Ks will be itching to get inside as well. We do have, if you include the EU races, 3 of the now 3 races run so far in the series have been won by S2Ks. So can somebody in a BRZ or an RX-8 challenge for a win in this race and kind of knock the S2Ks off their sweep? On the reverse side, we had a sweep of the races in EU by Drifting Hero. Can Diablo match that performance and get 2 for 2 as well?
Certainly got a good chance here in race number 2, which is just about ready to kick off. We are loading into Indianapolis Classic GP. It is featuring 13 turns, a pretty flat track with the exception of the banking. There'll be 20 laps, 2.6 miles around this track. And cars are back on track here. There will be a warm-up lap. And then just like race number 1, race number 2 will be a rolling start, 2x2. And that order will be D-Tech. Should be in first. And Severius in second. I think GG's out of order right now.
They may have changed it to 9 based on the finishing. So GG
What a
may be
break.
on pole. Yeah.
If that's true, what a break. You are right. That's what they've done. So D-Tech thinks he's, by beating GG at the line, of course he gets more championship points. He finds himself in second versus first. So interesting there, how that worked out.
Or, yeah, it might be because of a rebalance, because Diablo's still in 8th, so they might have rebalanced because Boosted is not in the lobby. So the lucky man, GG Racing, gets bumped up a position, putting him into pole position rather than 9th. So bit of luck there. But yeah, so we don't have our BRZ top row anymore. We got a BRZ and an S2000. And these guys were a bit chippy last race, so it'll be interesting to see how sector 1 goes for these guys.
So race number 2 about to start. We are on the banking. Look to GG now on the outside here of this grid. D-Tech on the inside. LSEM Butler, Severius. This is AMR Lawrence, Pedantic Squirrel. Race number 2, 20 laps, 2.6 miles around Indianapolis. Ready to cross that start-finish stripe here at Indy, and we are off. Race number 2 underway. D-Tech in the BRZ, GG to his left in the S2000, who's first at turn number 1. GG with a good line, takes it nice and wide. Lawrence avoids contact and goes in early. It's going to be GG, D-Tech, Severius, and Lawrence is going to touch Butler. And that's going to slow up this pack. Here comes Diablo up early here, 40 into 5th. Looking to Butler for a move for 4th. Butler's having a fight off this cars all around him.
Oof.
It's getting ugly here.
A lockup from Pedantic Squirrel, and that opened a channel for Roadkill just to dive through. It was like perfectly timed from Roadkill and opportunistic. That allowed him to gain like 4 positions in a matter of a second there with a slight lockup mistake from Pedantic Squirrel.
And we are going 3 wide coming up to turn number 8. It's a left-hand, 90-degree left-hand turn. Now Harmonic's going to be on the inside. He's got Squirrel on his outside, and the S2000 is going to be switching right to left to right. Now coming to turn number 11. That's an important one for Harmonic, but watch the Squirrel S2000 start to pull away. Lawrence is held on by just barely. That was a tough first opening lap for him. Here comes Menace, here comes Nightlock, and Harmonic's going to pit early. He's going to take his pit on the first opportunity.
I think that might be a mistake on Harmonic, because I believe there is a rule that you can't pit until lap 2 unless you have damage. So unless they dropped that rule or he had damage, there might be a miscalculation on Harmonic's part.
Well, I don't think Harmonic's choice of car has put him in any championship contention early on. Looks like there was contact from behind. It was between Lawrence. Was that Savon? It is, and this is GTR Roadkill. So again, 6, 7, 8 spots seem to be a place for entertainment here tonight. It's kids at the back of a bus on a bumpy road here in Indianapolis in these S2000s. Full of action. Go up to Diablo here in 5th, maybe making a move. He hit Butler earlier on. What do you say?
Up at the front, you got the battle from race 1 continued into race 2. You got Prod, D-Tech, and GG Racing duking it out. Every turn, somebody's making an opportunity or a try to pass. So these guys have not stopped what they started in race 1.
The 2 Americans, Prod, D-Tech, in the BRZ, representing the Puerto Rican online drivers. He is in race number 5, or car number 554, versus AMSGG Racing in the number 367 S2000. And you can see that BRZ pull away. Behind him is Severius, and he is in a BRZ. So look out for Severius. And he's got a clean line through turn number 1, but don't count him out. It's LZR Diablo currently in 4th. GG putting some pressure on D-Tech in turn number 3. And we got a change up at front here. It's GG now in front. And you know what? You said it earlier on. Sleeper pick, GG. Not necessarily a sleeper anymore. I mean, he's certainly a much faster and better driver than he has been. And he's gotten much, much faster. But here he is leading an A-Lobby race. 3 laps into this GT300. Go GG in the S2000.
But don't look back now. There's a very pink car in 4th position, only a couple hundred feet behind.
And that pink car is LZR Diablo. I think he's actually moved into 3rd now, and now he's in front of Severius.
Making very, very quick work of moving up from his starting position in 9th. So he found his way through to about 5th and then has been taking the time. While these guys have been distracted with their own battle, they kind of forgot that we got Diablo and Savon back there that are trying to make their way up through, and all of a sudden you got a rear view mirror full of a pink car. You have a problem. And it's only 3 laps into this race now.
I do see a taker for the pits. Not sure who that was. But it wasn't anyone here at the top. There was a taker for the pits. Is D-Tech going to get GG back? He is. And he's now going to be in the lead here. On the inside, can he hold it through turn number 1? And GG's going to hold off D-Tech. D-Tech and GG have a come together. And they kind of got magnetized. Diablo, the beneficiary of Forza race mechanics, and now he finds himself in 1st place. This couldn't have worked out any better for LZR Diablo and his pink S2000.
Almost the exact same thing happened in race 1 with the I think it was the same 2 drivers. It was definitely GG Racing and one of the prod drivers, where they came together in that turn, kind of synced up. This time GG doesn't end up in the sand trap. It's recoverable from here, but Diablo's in the lead. And he just, in qualifying, he was the fastest, clearly. Race 1, he was untouchable. What do you got to do to try to keep up with him now? You got to get around this BRZ, and you got to get into clean air if you're GG Racing. So do you pit now? Because the pit window is open. Nightlock took it last lap. Or do you try to race with Severius and try to catch Diablo?
Let me go to GG here. And he's tucked in behind Severius in the BRZ. The BRZ is the faster car. Any takers for pits here? No, not amongst the top 7. It is Diablo, Severius, GG, D-Tech making a move for the lead here. 1 lap ago, now finds himself in 4th place. 4th place for D-Tech. And is he going to lose another spot? He might be losing a spot to Butler here. He's got Butler, Savon 2000. Butler, who else is back there? Lawrence. Right now we are aboard AMS GG, currently in 3rd. Looking ahead to Severius in that BRZ, and it's LZR Diablo who got around this field. Started the race in 8th, now in 1st, and it only took him 4 laps to do so.
There's a little bit of a battle.
Side-by-side action.
Yeah. We got 2 side-by-side battles happening for 2nd and 3rd, and then 4th and 5th, and then 6th place and 7th place are right in line watching it all happen. So if you jump to LSCM the Butler, you can actually see everything happening, and each guy diving inside, diving outside. Every chance these guys are getting, they're trying to stick the nose in, just get alongside, put the guy on the outside just slightly, and get the better run, because it's so important into this turn.
Yeah, I figured we would see a pit from someone.
Yeah. Now he's going a bit quick. Let's hopefully see if he can stay down there. Yep, no problem. Some guys have had the unfortunate getting a little too fast through there.
That was D-Tech taking his pit stop. He found himself in a pack, battling for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Severius and GG again into turn number 1. And GG's going to hold on to Severius in that BRZ. Savon finds himself holding off AMR Lawrence, the number 26 S2000. And that purple and black livery on screen right now, that's AMR Lawrence. And of note, oh, it's a touch! Big touch there. It's going to be Savon, Lawrence, and Severius. And Butler's going to be a huge loser in that exchange, falling all the way down to 8th. He was in 4th. So Butler has a huge, huge mistake there. And Lawrence now is going to move into 3rd place in this race.
Butler, the unfortunate guy there, he's kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time, and actually his teammate had a collision with another driver and ended up costing Butler the time while his teammate recovered. So that was bad luck. Might be time to take the pit, regroup, clear your mind, get settled in, and actually do the quick laps, because I still think they have an opportunity to come out ahead of everybody else that's in the chase pack. Now you got multiple takers going into the pits though.
Yeah, that's Severius, and that looks to be, it might have been Prod Menace maybe?
Prod Menace, and there was one in front of Severius too. I think Lawrence is in the pits. No, not Lawrence.
So now our leader, it must have been Diablo who's taken a pit, because Lawrence is now our overall leader, if I'm seeing this right.
Yep.
This is our leader here, provisionally now. Lawrence, and this is LSEM Savon 2K. 2 S2000s here up at the front. Yet to take their pits, of course. 1 mandatory pit stop, folks. And a driver we haven't really seen much of is Pedantic Squirrel, currently in 3rd place. And in the race prior, he actually had a pretty good finish. He finished that race in 5th, so a top 5 from Pedantic Squirrel. Very, very quiet. Now finds himself in 3rd place.
I think he's trying to mess with us too. He's got a Mazda Speed livery on a Honda S2000. I think he's trying to throw us off a little bit.
You know, I'd be the guy who'd fall for that too. Yeah, that's not fair, man.
I almost did the first time I saw it. But coming out of the pits, Diablo is well ahead of GG Racing. So Diablo has a very comfortable lead. Unless Lawrence, if I was Lawrence, I would stay out as long as I can, try to put in as many fast laps, and see if I can create a gap between myself and GG Racing, and maybe find a way to make up that distance to Diablo. It's a big ask to try to chase down Diablo, but looks like you found yourself a battle for first.
Yeah, this is Lawrence and Savon still going at it. Savon started the day today, qualifying 2nd, and Lawrence in this purple and black car, he started this race in 3rd. So they've been next to each other all day. And now it's Lawrence now finds himself in front. Both these drivers, they like to race, I guess, rather than pit. You would think one of them's probably going to pit soon. We're not yet at the halfway point of the race, but we're certainly very, very close.
Yeah, and this is working into Diablo's favor incredibly. Like, these two guys slowing each other down are going to back them away from Diablo. And GG Racing is now moving up into a position where he's going to be in line, potentially undercutting these guys. So one of them has to decide if they want to pit, they got to pit now, or else they're going to definitely lose out too much time.
You just wonder who it's going to be. Lawrence hugging the inside here, pretty close to the cones. And no takers here. But they're both going to continue to race as they fly by an orange cone there, making its way halfway onto the speedway. And we got another take for the pits. That would have been Pedantic Squirrel. So going in the interesting line here, trying to find draft. That racing line's going to be way out here to the left. Now they come out and pop out. And the better line here is going to be from Savon. They will touch again. These guys are very handsy, these two.
Very, very similar cars, even though the builds are slightly different. I think they're, a 618 and a 617 builds. The cars seem to be very, very on par through almost all the sections, and the driver, Lawrence, is doing a good job of putting the car in a position to defend without compromising his own run too much. While Savon is being very, very courteous in the way he's approaching this. They are bumping, but he's not forcing the issue in any way. So Yeah, it's a great race. They are slowing each other down a little bit, unfortunately, for them, if they're looking at the overall. But for this position, for the current race lead, this is great.
We'll get some trackside shots of our race lead here between AMR Lawrence and LSEM Savon 2K. You got to think one of them's got to be pitting here soon. This is Savon. We ride aboard. Look how close he is to Lawrence. My goodness.
I think there was a little bit of gamesmanship there as they approached the pit entrance. It looked like Lawrence kind of did like a feint to the pit, and then Savon made a feint and Lawrence made a feint, and neither ended up going in. So they both kind of made an attempt to look like they were going to pit.
It's like the exact opposite of a NASCAR qualification session, right? Where they're not leaving the pits. These guys not want to go in, and they're going to continue the battle. So our race order: AMR Lawrence, LSEM Savon 2K. That's the battle you see on screen right now. LSEM the Butler in third, AMR Aftermath in fourth, DJ Professor K72 in fifth. Then it's LZR Diablo, who has made his pit, currently sitting in 6th position. GG Racing in 7th. Prod D-Tech in 8th. Pedantic Squirrel 9th. Severius 10th in the BRZ. Roadkill in the RX-8, currently sitting in 11th. Prod Menace in 12th. Elmar Harmonic, all the way down in 13th place. AMR Nightlock in 14th. Fuego, he comes back for race number 2, currently in 15th place. This seems to be the entertainment. I'm going to pull up a map here and see if I can see anything else maybe we should be taking a look at. And just see how far these two guys are out in front. And here we go. Now we got a pit. That's going to be Savon. That means Lawrence is going to be hung out here. He's going to take another lap. And it's going to be Savon now into the pit road.
If I'm Lawrence, I commit now. Now you're all alone. You have to put in the fast times. Diablo's doing the same. You gotta just go until the last minute to pit. You're gonna be in completely clean open air with no challengers. I just stay out as long as the tires aren't falling off.
I hop down to 12th place. This would be Prod Menace to try and find some action here. And we've got Roadkill up in front in the RX-8, and just in front of him, that's going to be Severius in the BRZ. And not much happened behind here, but let's see if this BRZ's got anything for Roadkill. I see a car coming out slow. That's going to be Butler. He's now out of the pits in the S2000, and he finds himself in 12th.
Savon down to 6th behind GG Racing. So the battle with Lawrence cost him a bit. GG Racing got clear. Diablo is miles away.
Moved up one spot to GTR Roadkill. The number 111 RX-8 with an interesting livery. He's going to get alongside Severius. Severius is in the BRZ, the quicker car. He's going to stretch the track limits. I don't think it really helped him out. Probably only cost him time, but now he's on the inside for a tough left-hander. Roadkill's got a better line here, but Severius is going to cut him off. And good job there from the green and black liveried BRZ.
This is kind of our first look at the RX-8 in this race. As you could see coming out of turn 11 there, he just got a little bit sideways as he was trying to accelerate. And I think that might be the downfall of the RX-8. It's just a little bit of lack of rear grip, especially when you're trying to put the accelerator down. It seems to match the S2Ks on top speed. The Prod BRZs are probably the quickest in the pack as Menace goes by. But he seems to be pretty solid on the race. Yeah.
You know, he was a little bit twitchy in race number 1, so you know he's probably using sim steering, and he got away from him a little bit there. So Menace makes the move around Roadkill. Roadkill finished race number 1 in 10th, and I believe that's where he is now, currently in 10th. Fighting for 9th, actually, with Menace.
Yeah, Menace got focused on Severius ahead of him and kind of left the door open for Roadkill, and Roadkill, not going to need a second invitation, dove to the inside and took his position back.
Don't count out. Here comes Butler. Butler behind this group, and that's the number 1717 S2000 in the Lightspeed Endurance Motorsports team. Butler, I believe, Australian.
Lawrence completes his pit, comes out just behind GG Racing. Well, in position now. I'm not exactly sure where they filed out, but Lawrence is right on GG Racing's bumper with Savon in tow.
So Lawrence hanging out and taking those extra laps. Maybe it was the better idea. You're probably not gonna. You can't even see Diablo on screen, but he's certainly got GG Racing within his sights. Hurdling down towards turn number 1, GG and Lawrence. Lawrence here in the purple and black. So S2000 versus S2000. And what it seems like there's an awful lot of them. This is not S2000 Spec Cup Racing. I saw that in the chat. This is the GT300 round number 1 Indianapolis Classic GP. And we are on lap number 13 of 20. Up on the top left of the screen says 14 of 21. We did have a warm-up lap. And there have been pit stops made. It's Diablo way out in front. I'll get a map up on screen just so you guys can see. Look for number 1. You can see him way up there. There is a driver out there that has not pit.
DJ Professor in the Mazda RX-8 has not pit. He's currently in first place with Diablo closing in on him. I think he's taking the smart path for himself. He was in some of those mid-pack battles, and I think he's just looking for clean air and trying to find some time there. So he might be trying to do some overcuts on some people that are back in traffic as he dives into the pit now and relinquishes the lead to Diablo.
So we drop down to Savon 2K. And you can look up ahead. That's Lawrence taking a look at GG. 154, 155 miles an hour, dropping all the way down into second gear here. Now up into third, and you'll probably stay into third for a little bit. Quickly into fourth, and on the brakes back into third now. Through turn number 4, and then a tightening turn number 5. And Lawrence, or GG holding off Lawrence, but now this is LSEM. Savon 2K. He wants a podium.
He's doing a good job of maintaining enough space behind Lawrence that he doesn't end up bogged down coming out of one of these straights because Lawrence gets a bad drive or bumps GG Racing. He's giving himself just that a little bit of a buffer zone, until he does that. As I give him the commentator's curse and he accidentally bumps Lawrence to the S's. He's been courteous all race. He might need to get a little bit more cutthroat and actually start sticking a bumper in on the inside. He's been going to the outside a lot on these passing opportunities.
Well, Lawrence now got to be checking his mirror because here comes Savon. And they're going to be side by side as we're coming down the start-finish straight. Starting lap number 15. Gigi's going to go into the inside, probably a little premature, but Savon got a run. And now he is in third place through turn number 1. They're going to exchange positions once again. Lawrence and Savon doing the cha-cha, move for move, place for place. And they both want that last step on the podium, Savon and Lawrence. And we got S2000s 1 through 4, but all the battle and all the action right here. And on screen now. You can see it. What a move. And an exchange here in lap number 15. Is anyone close enough to catch up to these two if these guys are going to keep moving like this, though? There is any chance that would be, what, D-Tech? And he's in a BRZ, I believe, so. Someone to look out for.
He's in the BRZ. He's been lurking back there, but he hasn't seemed to be able to close any of the gap to these guys, even though these guys are bumping a little bit. He just doesn't seem to have the outright lap time to be able to make it up. He has the pace around from turn 11 through 1, but I think he's still struggling with brakes into turn 1 and losing a lot of time there.
Take a quick look at the race stats. You get a grid up there. LZR Diablo with a 1:30.3 and getting faster. I believe his fastest time in qualification was the 1:30.5, so he's gotten faster throughout the night. Tires are certainly up to temp now. BRZ, no surprise. Prod D-Tech, he's in the fastest car at 170 miles per hour. I think I was hearing as much Harmonic getting as quick as like 146. So a huge difference there in speed from Harmonic in the Prowler to the BRZ. We see some contact there. LSEM, Savon, and Lawrence continuing to exchange paint. AMR swapping LSEM. LSEM swapping for AMR. You see the battle scars and exchange between those S2000s. I think it's going to keep going all the way to the finish. GG likes this, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but he's not getting away. He hasn't been challenged by Savon or Lawrence in maybe 2 or 3 laps, but he hasn't improved this gap he has to the third place cars. He seems to be occasionally having small little lockups. So I'm not sure if the brake pressure is just a little too high or if it's something with the balance of the car that's just lifting the tire a little too much. But he just hasn't been able to really distance himself and secure this position. He's always like one little slip up and these guys will be right back on him.
Lap number 17 of 20. Your order, Diablo. Then you get to this battle you see on screen. AMS GG Racing, LSEM Savon 2K, and AMR Lawrence. And not too far away, we'll take a look back. You can see him out there. That is Prod D-Tech, makes up your top 5. And further down the order, it's Pedantic Squirrel in 6th place. Another quiet race from him. Severius in 7th. Why don't I go to Squirrel real quickly just to get a look at him, see if he's got anything on in the very confusing Mazda S2000. Not much going on there. Severius in 7th place. Very closely followed by Roadkill, the Butler, Apex Fuego coming back for race number 2. And he's in the top 10. Menace in 11th, Nightlock in 12th, Harmonic, unlucky number 13, DJ Professor 14, Aftermath will round out your top lobby here in 15th place. Roadkill takes a look, is not going to have the speed for the BRZ. Under the banking now, into the draft. There's Indy to be found. Roadkill would like a lot more, but not likely.
If you want to jump up to 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, it's become a 3-car battle again with GG Racing, Savon, and Lawrence. GG had a slight slip up, Savon closed the gap, and Lawrence followed. So now they got, again, this battle continues.
Savon's going to take a look on the inside here at turn number 6. It's going to switch back quickly for a right-hand turn here. GG's now on the inside. Savon's got a better, cleaner line, and he's going to take 2nd place overall. Is GG going to lose another spot here because turn number 8 is a left-hander? It certainly doesn't look good for GG Racing. He's going to lose 2 spots in 2 corners. He gets it back just before I could finish my sentence. GG holding on. He's going to be off the racing line, though. And he's going to take that turn pretty narrow. But Savon pulls a little gap there on GG.
Lawrence has got a little bit of a run on GG Racing here and dives to the inside. Then we got a drag race down the front straight past the bricks in the tower. The Pagoda at Indianapolis. Savon, because of this, has found that gap that GG wasn't able to create in the past couple.
They will go around this track 2 more times. It was LSEM Savon who made the move on lap 18. That was 1 lap ago. Now in second place, Lawrence now surely in second place. Gigi's desperately trying to hold on, and he wants that podium spot. It's going to be difficult for him. He's really pushing. You can just see him push that S2000 for everything it's got. Lawrence now looking in control, though. And Gigi makes another error there. Surely now it's going to be a 1-2-3, barring anything crazy happening. Diablo quietly has been absolutely at a blistering pace. And almost alien times compared to the rest of the field. Put him on screen here shortly.
Consistently running in the 130 points. Last lap was a 130.5. His fastest is a 130.3. Just consistent. Made his way through the pack, taking the opportunities he was given, not having to force the issue. Pitted at a smart time, found himself on an open track, and took advantage of that and started a hot lapping session and just put on a masterclass of just technique and proficiency in nailing these laps down without any major issue.
Well, he'll have 10 more corners to get to the finish line. LZR Diablo in the pink S2000, numbered 29. Painted by our good friend Mesosphere. I had a chance to do a race with Mesosphere once. It was a great time. I think we did trucks maybe about 2 or 3 years ago on YMTV. That was an awful lot of fun. But here it is. He's got his paint on YMTV in the form of LZR Diablo. He won race number 1, surely looking good to win race number 2 and take an early lead in this championship. In just a handful of turns, he kicks that cone for good measure off track. In what was a perfect night from the Lazarus Esports driver. Certainly going to be a threat to the championship. You got to think Harmonix probably already thinking car switch. Just after round number 1.
Yeah, he gave it a valiant effort. It probably wasn't the best track to pick that car for. Just unfortunate with the calendar scheduling. I think it would be a little bit more competitive at some of the later tracks. Yeah, the Honda S2000 today, taking 2 races in North America, 2 races in the EU. Really dominant.
Further on the order, we see Pedantic Squirrel crossing the line. He finishes his race in 6th position. We'll get Roadkill crossing the line. He finishes in 7th. Behind him, Apex Fuego. Butler in 9th. We'll go to Severius in 10th, see if there's anything here. Quickly or closely followed by Menace in 11th place. AMR Nightlock in 12th. Harmonic finished the race in 13th. DJ Professor in 14th. AMR Aftermath in 15th place. So we'll run through the order one more time. Ajax, if you want to help our viewers out.
Yeah, so LSEM, LZR Diablo taking the win. 2 wins on the night, 2 for 2. Took the pole position too. Nobody could touch him. Just dominant from the moment we started tonight. LSEM, Savon and Lawrence also doubling up on where they qualified. Savon in 2nd, Lawrence in 3rd. Great results from them. Great battling from them. GG Racing also tossed a hand in there. Didn't quite have the result he wanted in race 1. Came back, put on a good show in race 2 with a 4th place position. Our first BRZ is Prod DTEC R in 5th, followed by Pedantic Squirrel in the Mazda S2000. 7th place, GTR Roadkill. A quiet night for him, but 7th is really good for the RX-8 on this track, I believe. So I'm confident that he'll be happy with that result. Apex Fuego comes from, I believe he disconnected in race 1, comes back to finish 8th in this race. LACM, the Butler, in 9th. Severius in 10th. Prod Menace in 11th. AMR Nightlock in 12th. LMR Harmonic proudly racing the crawler in 13th. DJ Professor K72 in the Mazda RX-8 in 14th, and rounding out the field in 15th is AMR Aftermath. So, good result from Diablo, doubled up on that, wins. LSCM had very, very strong results. I believe they're signed up as a team, so they're probably going to come out in a very strong position for the team, competing with the likes of Prod, AMR. I think LSCM will have a very, very good advantage going into the second race event for the team standings.
Yeah, so Savon finished second in race number 1, second in race number 2, and his teammate is LSEM Boost. And Boost did not make it for race number 2. He did race in race number 1. So maybe those championship points aren't as strong as you may initially have thought, although he had a great night. So 2 podiums from LSEM Savon 2K.
I think Butler was their third man on their team, so Boost got
You're right, so Butler is. Okay,
Butler
you're right, so Butler is.
In race 2. So
okay,
I think
so
they'll
have a second, and a 6th.
I think it'll be from race 1, they'll have 2nd and 4th because of Boost, and then 2nd and 9th in race 2. I think will be their result. The AMR team,
yeah, you're right.
The Prod teams had good results, but were just a bit further back. Like Menace is 11th in this, and he's their number 2. AMR Nightlock is, I believe, the number 2 for that team. He's in 12th and had an incident in race 1 that put him to the back of the pack. I think he has more to show. I don't think he had a great showing tonight because of on-track things. We'll have to see and let the stewards sort that out. But I think he'll come into race 2 a little bit eager to get a better result and prove himself a bit more. Apex Fuego, 8th. We didn't see him in race 1, but good to see him in race 2. And GTR Roadkill. I think he's one to call out because he's the leading guy in the RX-8 in 7th place in this race. Qualified near the back for race 1, moved his way up a little bit, got the reset for race 2, moved his way up a little bit again, just consistently moving his way forward. I don't think he quite made up enough places to be in that hard charger consideration yet for the positions gained, but he's definitely doing the work that he needs to do to make himself a contender in the overall series.
Well, we got a late start here for the GT300, but boy did the races go by quick. It only took 28 laps in 2 races. It was LZR Diablo taking the win in both rounds. The podium, well, it was the same. Diablo, Savon, Lawrence, 1, 2, 3 in both races. We will be back next week. It's Suzuka East. Next Thursday, same time here on YMTV. This has been a presentation of YMTV, courtesy of our friends at TORA. If you want to race next week, you can race TORA.com. Any final words about tonight's racing today, Ajax?
No, solid racing, great showing from Diablo. Can't fault him for anything. He did what he needed to do, qualified on pole, took both wins. Hopefully we'll see a little bit more diversity in the car selection next week. Hopefully the track lends that. Ready to go for Suzuka.
We will see you guys in Suzuka. It's been a pleasure having you guys watch YMTV and the stream today. For Ajax, my name is Flip Mode. We will see you guys in Japan next Thursday. Congratulations to LZR Diablo with the double win. Until then, have a great night. Make sure to sign up at racetor.com. British GT registration also open. Have a good night, guys.